My name is Matt Aversa. I'd like to welcome you to Miami, here sitting with Julia Horvath, Gyrokinesis creator. We're excited to launch this new series of DVDs here, and we thought it was appropriate for Julia to share a little bit about each one and about the underlying principles of his methodology.
Not really about each tape separately, but perhaps I just want to elaborate a little bit on the principles of the breathing, what follows the exercises. So the basic understanding of the principle is that when the body expands, it inhales. When it contracts, naturally it exhales. However, there is a little problem here, is a catch, because every time one part expands, the other side contracts naturally. So now how do you adjust this breathing principle? For instance, if I'm doing a spiral, the upper body is expanding and the lower body should be contracting. So how do I do over here that I'm utilizing the breathing for the expansion or the breathing for the contraction part of the body? Yeah, so it all depends, because if I need more relaxation and not such a strong movement, then I favor inhalation at the extreme of the movement. But if I want to have more strength, then I favor the contraction side of the body. So I'm utilizing an exhalation. However, that is going to stop me to go and completely fulfill the cycle of the spiral. But I'm gaining strength in the lower part of the body. So sometimes you want to experiment with this. One time you can do it with inhale, and other times exhale. When you do the exhalation, however, you want to make it a little bit shallow so the contraction is not so strong as to prevent the movement from happening. For instance, like we do in the beginning with the arch and curve, where we're utilizing the double breath, where we go inhale, exhale, exhale. So this exhalation actually gives me an accent for the body and a strength to support the entire spine. And if I'm utilizing the just inhale, it will expand, but it will be softer. Both are good, and just you want to know when you utilize one aspect and when you're utilizing the other aspect. Another example would be the sideways arch, right? So if I'm going in a sideways arch, naturally here I am totally expanded and not enough contracted, so it will be an inhalation. But as soon as I'm going to the other side, I need a support system. So I'm going to utilize the contraction part of the body because the expansion already has happened. So this is the basic principle. And if they can follow, if everybody can follow the breathing patterns as prescribed in the tape, then everything is going to work perfectly.
So there's always that contrast happening.
Yeah, well, there is a contrast, and there is always a little bit of, you might say it, contradiction. Because sometimes people said, oh, but you said in the extension or expansion you should inhale, and in the contraction exhale. But as I just explained, there is always two sides in the body. So one side is always in extension and the other side is in a contraction. Just to know when you're utilizing what and how do you want to support the element that you need more. If you want to have more relaxation, obviously you're going to inhale at the end of the movement, but you will not have that much strength for support. However, when you want to create a strength at the base, then you would utilize the exhalation at the end of the movement, and maybe the movement is not going to be to such an extreme. But in the meantime, you can give an accentuation to it.
So in one of our DVDs we're launching, Spinal Essentials, it's the most basic movements, the foundation of the system. So for those who at home who are new to this, if their capacity is not as that of a dancer, they can utilize these principles in the Spinal Essentials.
It is always depending of how big or how small you do the movement. What is important? The rhythm. Whether you do minimal movement in an arch and curl, this much, just very, very small, but the rhythm is what is going to create the breaking down process of the body that eventually gives more, and it creates a health. You don't want to go to extreme always. I don't go to the extreme because my age is also advancing and my strength is somewhat how should I say, diminishes, maybe is not the right word, but is less than when I've been 20-year-old, obviously. So when I'm utilizing this system for my relaxation, I can watch TV and just kind of undulate my body. The movement happens, the stimulation happens, and the aerobic capacity, because it's always underlined any movement with breathing. So I'm exercising even watching TV. It doesn't have to be a chore. It doesn't have to be what you call work. It should be more part of your entertainment. Every day it's just like taking a shower. But again, the shower should not be a chore. It should be a pleasurable experience.
So, with that in mind, if you bought this DVD, you've seen the cover, and you see this drawing, this energetic drawing Giulio drew many, many years ago. For you to get to that place,
then it can become work, but it's only when you want to continuously compete with your own self. And when you don't know the mystery beyond, of course, is always a struggle. So in the beginning there was a lot of struggle, and you have to put the effort. It's not when you want to go to this other dimension of experiencing energetics and I don't know, open up for inspiration, or that is an effort to start with.
So your process to get to that, when you were able to draw that after you experienced that, how long of a process was that?
It's a long process, but not everybody has to go there and needs to go there. It's enough if you take care of your health and your well-being, and then leave the others for those who are a little bit masochistic like myself I used to be, and like sports people who wants to perform. But this is not for performance. This is for well-being, as I explained. So it is no performance involved. It's just understand, like you sing a song in your shower, right? You have a melody, you have a rhythm in that, and you're taking your shower and you're splashing your body. The same way should be this one. Of course, because we filmed it and they've been practicing, these people, for a long time, so now they excel and they look as if they are really working, and they do a little bit because they are a little bit nervous in front of the camera and just to be together. But like in a class situation, for instance, or when you do it for yourself, you should be singing inside there. Your breathing should be the melody of your movement.
So there's pleasure. So now I'm going to switch a little bit to one of the things we're featuring in our DVDs is the cardiovascular stimulation, because in today's world we think of cardiovascular as standing on a treadmill doing one very simple an undynamic kind of movement for a certain period of time, 20 minutes, 30 minutes to burn calories. From my experience and being around you all these years, cardiovascular is a totally different experience and a kind of a different understanding than the modern world's cardiovascular.
Well, it's like we are talking about stimulation. That's why I'm call it a cardiovascular stimulation. Is not to scare your heart out of the chest. You know, it has to beat a little bit faster naturally with the movement as you breathe and as you move, but it has to coincide with the circulation that is happening inside of your body. So it is not pushing the heart for work, but rather allow the heart to participate in this program, what you're doing. So it is a very gentle cardiovascular stimulation. Of course, I can speed it up to a level where you suffocate basically, because if you want real cardiovascular, meaning where your blood should flow like crazy or your heart should beat as if it is scared. But we don't really want to do that. To me, that is not really health. If you go out on a boardwalk like here in Miami, for instance, and you watch people jogging, or look at the faces, they are always in a suffering mood, always in a struggling mood. So how can that be good? And their bodies sometimes look like as if they are really, really hurting, and yet they're pushing and pushing and pushing, thinking that they're doing something good for themselves. That's not good. If you do in a gentle way, you should be able to do it for as long as you live, and even when you are sick, even when you're ill, you should be able to continue to do this, because it is not aggressive. It is more like a, I would say, passive aggressive. I don't know if the word is right, but it is more passive exercising than really aggression coming through.
So you're going to see in these movements, in these cardiovascular movements, the whole body's participating. And you often talk about, our heart is here, but people are doing cardiovascular at the leg level, running on that treadmill. And you often talk about how the arms and the stimulation of the upper body as well.
It's like you have to look at this more like a clockwork. The heart of the clock is the entire clock. You have a watch. You can't say this reel should not move, only the big reels should move, or this reel. You can't separate one from each other, because the participation of all the reels, of all the mechanism inside, is what creating the precise circulation of the clock of the tick, tack, tick, tack. And the same is with your organs. The participation of the entire body and the entire structure is what creates well-being and health. Not just having leg muscles or biceps or triceps or who knows what everybody wants. It is well-being means the entire structure works harmoniously. It's like an orchestration. It's not like one instrument. It's an orchestration.
So it's more efficient. You don't, and as far as time is concerned, people are going to get more out of it in say a less amount of time if they were doing one repetitive motion.
Yeah, it's like, of course, you can choose one that you prefer. Just if you are growing towards performance, let's say you are a dancer and you have to perform, or you're a skater, or you are a gymnast, there is no escape. Over there you have to work for performance. But this is geared for well-being. And even this gymnast, dancers, this performance needs somewhere a relaxation, that this overused musculature, overused body can relax and regenerate, because regeneration is the point over here. Not destroying, not extracting. It's like you have money in the bank. You stimulate it, but always putting it a little bit more instead of taking the whole thing out, and then what happens? It's an empty bank. And until it fills up again, it's very difficult. No, it's rather take a little, put back a little, take a little, put back a little. And in fact, this is putting money in your bank account, not taking out.
I'd like to talk a little bit about the breathing. We have a long breathing segment and a shorter breathing segment. And there's some aspects of the breathing where there are certain arm positions.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about.
Where you're here,
Right.
and there's different intentions in behind each one. Can you talk a little bit about those? Because people are going to be sitting there and practicing these
Right.
exercises. And
So there are many aspects to this. One aspect is symbolism in it. It symbolizes a growth process, meaning you're going from the lower to the higher. But it is not just that. It is also how you connect your strength, softening it with your heart center, where there is a little bit more love towards yourself as well. And then opening up for inspiration, because people are always thinking aggressively. They want to attain, achieve, and this. But how do you get inspired when you are so aggressive? So you have to soften that part of your being where your mind become perceptive, your body become perceptive. So the first symbolizes the strength of the earth, because that's where we are growing from. It's like a big tree trunk coming. It needs the nourishment of the earth. It needs the power of the earth. And that's where we're coming from. The heart center softens your aggression, softens that energy, and use it constructively. Use it as how now it just doesn't come. The word doesn't come to me now, but constructive energy instead of just using it for aggression and power and pushing and pulling and so on. And the third, it symbolizes, as I explained it over there, the children and how children can grow. This is how they can absorb, and this is how they are so smart when they are young and can remember everything, and they see everything, because they are still absorbent. They are not aggressive outwardly, continuously going out. They also going in.
Receiving.
They are still receiving, perceptive mood, yes. So these are basically the
an alignment and a harmony between all the centers.
Right, and of course, each one stimulates a different part of your body, because by holding your hands in this way downwards, it creates a pyramid structure inside of the body. The weight is grounded downwards. This opening, it symbolizes more a surrender and an opening of your heart and a softening of all of this energy. And in the same times, if you hold the position long enough, it's like wings. Can you imagine a bird, what kind of a strength it needs to fly?
Eagle.
The eagle, for instance, and you are building wings. So when we're working to go beyond your limitation, depending how long you hold these positions, most of the time I can see that people start sweating and shaking, and they just cannot hold it anymore,
like
because they do
through.
not understand. Yeah, because the energy is not, the pathway is not open yet. So to open the pathways completely, you have to wait it out. Meaning, first comes the shaking and the jittering, and then if you can go beyond that, because it comes with pain and aches
Fatigue,
and every
yeah.
fatigue, and if you can go beyond that, that's when it opens up. So it will take a long time. I have all these dancers, all these sports people, these karate people, but they cannot hold the position as long as I do, because they do not understand the relaxation involved in it. Plus, their pathway inside is not open. So it all depends. If I'm holding my hands here, but the circulation wants to go, but we are going only this way, because your arms are always down. So now, to be able to go against this pressure that is coming from above, it's a difficult task.
So I know you're offering specifically some of these breathing workshops down here in Miami for a lot of the certified trainers and things. So when you're out there and you're in front of the class, you're experiencing these things. You're going to a place of that uncomfortness, and you're passing through it. Because
to me, it's not so much the uncomfort anymore, because I can hold the positions much longer. I practiced for long times. It's more like giving the strength to the class for those who follow, to take them beyond their limitation, because if I am not doing it in front of them, they are going to stop way prematurely.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the beginning there is a little struggle with this, and
in your own body, in your physical.
Not really for my own body. It is a struggle for them.
Yeah.
I'm creating over here the general who doesn't just say go ahead, but say follow me. So I have to do it, and I have to do it better and stronger and longer. So naturally, I have to pull 100 people behind me. Is not as easy as when I'm doing it just by myself, because then I don't have to think of anybody, then I just do it for myself, me and nature together. But here we have to pull a whole bunch of natures together to follow and create this hub that they're going to follow, because why would they follow something that doesn't look appealing? Yeah. So I have to make myself bigger, larger, so I exaggerate sometimes just to make this momentum for the other people.
I have nothing else. That was
Well, I hope this is going to give some answers to some people, and of course I must say that this structure have to be learned. It cannot be just by viewing the screen and follow it. You first have to learn it. The screen gives you a follow-up, basically. So once you learn the structures, you have to go to an instructor to understand where the breathing happens, how the positioning happening, and all of that. So I strongly suggest anybody who is taking this up, you cannot just follow
so there
it from
are
the
quite a
tape.
few now training centers throughout the world that offer gyrotonic and gyrokinesis methodologies where you can supplement your training on your DVD with the class participation.
Yeah, there is all over the world, and there are many good instructors out there. You just have to find where it's like a friend. You don't create a friendship just by going and, hey, I'm going out and find a friend. A friendship happens through conversation and an exchange of energy between two partners. So you have to find the teacher that becomes a friend of yours.
And for those who may not be able to get to a class or get to a trainer, by doing the work, by following the DVDs, there's going to be some benefit there as well.
There are going to be some benefits, of course. I'm getting letters all the time from people who has never seen me, and they doing the exercises with me in the past when I have been doing actually in front of them, and they say, oh, they feel so good and everything feels so imagine if you feel so good when you don't know what you're doing, how good you're going to feel when you know what you're doing. So yes, of course there will be benefits, but it's always a much
refinement,
Exactly.
a deeper level of refinement with it. That's with anything when you have a teacher who is well trained to guide you. So
Absolutely.
I have nothing else for today. I'd like to thank you for joining us, and we ask that you enjoy those DVDs.
I thank you for listening, and I hope you find a good use for these DVDs. Thank you.
Thank you.